How's it going, everyone? I'm here with Senate candidate Blake Masters, and we were just at the Legislative District 11 event. It sounds like you had a good crowd in there, some good questions. What'd you like the most about the crowd tonight? Like, they asked some pretty good questions. What would you say stuck out to you the most?
You know, I always love having events hosted at people's homes.
Yeah.
There's kind of an intimate, cozier feeling, and to be surrounded by patriots who you could tell these people are paying attention. Mm-hmm. They know what time it is, so to speak. They understand the chaos and devastation that Biden has delivered. And so hopefully I won a few converts, but it's always just a pleasure to speak with people who understand what's happening and are excited about a new generation of conservative leadership.
I think that gentleman who is the veteran talking about the
horrible VA system. It just doesn't work for so many people. Mm-hmm. And it was getting better. It wasn't perfect, but man, it was getting better under President Trump. Yeah. And so he was saying just Biden has removed all of these great pro-veteran policies, and now he's struggling to find health care, right? Yeah. It's a travesty.
Yeah, I know you were saying in there, how do we fix the VA? What would you do in this situation to fix the VA?
The first step is to literally re-implement all the policies that the Trump team had implemented. I grew up watching my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran, struggle with the VA. It would take him weeks to get an appointment for his phantom limb pain. Mm-hmm. And then I think Trump put in place a rule that says, hey, if you can't get an appointment in a certain amount of time in the VA, then you can immediately go to any private clinic you want, fully comped, right? Which is great. And now Biden just took that away. It's why would you take that away from our veterans? Right? So to immediately make it better than Biden is easy. And then long term, you got to work and study the system. And but we really can't prioritize that enough. Veterans have put on the cloth of the nation and are willing to fight and in some cases die for this country. And we just have to take better care of them. I'm sick of how it works right now.
Get it codified in the legislature, and that way it's not an executive thing anymore. Right. They can't change it. It's the law.
That's right.
Another piece I wanted to talk to you about, which I've also interviewed your opponents about, is infrastructure. You talked in there about being pro-nuclear. What is your view of a balanced energy grid? Do we just see nuclear, solar, the mix of it, or what's your preferred energy?
I'm an oil and gas guy.
Okay. So Jim.
I think
a little bit like Jim.
A little bit not like Jim because he made his career in solar, right? But he's soon going to be irrelevant. I'm an oil and gas guy though, so to the extent he God bless this country with incredible natural resources. Yeah. We need to be drilling, we need to be exploring new oil leases, we need to be fracking, right? The fracking revolution has been phenomenal. So oil and gas, absolutely. I'm more skeptical of wind and solar and these sort of left-wing boondoggles. That's the sort of Green New Deal portfolio, right? The stuff that tends to need to be subsidized heavily to work. So I'd skip over those, do the oil and gas, skip over the left-wing stuff, and then go straight to nuclear. Yep. Nuclear is it's safe, it's cheap, it's clean. Right here in Maricopa County, we have the Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station. Thing's been producing safe and clean nuclear power for 30 years. And we got to renew it. Unfortunately, I studied up on this recently. It's going to take 7 years of hard work to even get the permits to renew that thing for another couple of decades. It's crazy.
And we look at putting in new reactors, small modular reactors,
yep.
Anything like that.
I believe that's the future.
That was actually one thing your opponent, and that's why I brought up Jim on that, was, he's a former fossil fuel exec, and when I asked him about energy, he was totally dismissive of nuclear. Oh, the cost has to go down, everything else, right? But looking at regulation, is that a part of it? Have you researched that enough?
Yeah, in fact, so before I ran for Senate, I was an investor, invest in technology companies, and I won't say very often, but 2 or 3 times we found really talented nuclear scientists who wanted to start a startup, and we wanted to invest, right? Because they would come up with some small modular reactor design that they could mathematically prove wasn't going to lead to runaway chain reactions. And the problem is, you get to the final stage of diligence, and ultimately, in good faith, with a fiduciary duty, you couldn't invest in these companies because there's no regulatory pathway, right? The NRC, literally, its whole job apparently is to just say no. You can't test this. You can't build this. Mm-hmm. And we haven't built a new nuclear facility in this country for a long time. So we've actually criminalized innovation, even though I know there are safe regulatory pathways that we can develop to get these small modular reactors. So it's one thing I want to focus on in the U.S. Senate, absolutely. And to the extent, naysayers like Jim, he's the past. Yep. He's the past, I'm the present, and I'm the future.
Perfect. And then one other topic that you talked about in there was water. Mm-hmm. You were talking about building a pipeline to Mexico. Would you also look at, redundancies? So having a pipeline to California, having a pipeline back east.
Yep. And, there's challenges, and building pipelines is not cheap, but I think any water source we need to be thinking of as a potential water source to augment Arizona's supply, build pipelines, right, with desal plants. There's a lot of interesting technology. I was talking about the Harquahala Aquifer. We're sitting on 3 or 4 Lake Meads, as I understand it. And with good technology, we can use that water and actually distribute it throughout the state of Arizona. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some hard work, but we got to start thinking about this now because we're in a desert, we're in a drought, and we're growing. Yep. And in 10 years, it's going to be a disaster unless we get the right people in office now to solve this thing.
Perfect. And is there anything you want to end my viewers on? I know we talked on our last interview at America Fest about Section 230, so we won't cover that again. But is there anything else, anything new you want to talk about to my voter or to the voters?
We're just, let me reiterate that I'm sprinting to the finish line here for this August 2nd primary. Not sure when this program's going to air, but if it's before August 2nd, I'd be honored for your vote. If it's after August 2nd, don't worry, you still have a chance to vote for me in the general election, November 8th against Mark Kelly. But it's always great to see you, and thank you so much.
Perfect, Blake. Hey, pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for the interview again,
Cool.
and have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Awesome.